It's an honor to me to stay here to talk about the Brazilian environmental criminal law. And I would like to thank Professor Cassuto for the invitation. And the last year I was here studying my postdoctoral course here at Pace Law University. And to me it's an honor to be here to speak with you on my experience on environmental criminal law system in Brazil. I would like to talk to you about my experience. If you have any question, you can speak slowly. And I like to say that I can understand so well when New York speaks so fast, but I will try, okay? And as Professor Cassuto says, the environmental criminal law systems in Brazil is based in the Constitution. We, in Brazil, different from the United States, have a very young constitution. We are in our 6th constitution. So, it means that we have an entire chapter just to law on environmental problems. The most important rule in the Constitution of Brazil is the Article 225. In her third paragraph, they say, conduct and activities considered harmful to the environment shall subject the offenders, individuals or entities, to criminal, administrative, and civil sanctions regardless of the obligation of repair the damage. If a corporation or a person do a harm for the environment, they will be liable for 3 kinds of responsibility: civil, administrative, and criminal. Some professors said that the Brazilian Constitution is created an environmental state of law. We live in an environmental state of law. Brazil had 50% of her territory is just forest. It's a green country. Yet. In 1998, the Brazilian Congress enacted a law, Act number 9605, 1998, who bring some innovation to our criminal system. Brazil is a country of civil law. Okay? A civil law family. The United States is a common law family. Is there a lot of difference between the systems? Brazil was influenced a lot for the United States. We are a democratic country, a republic system, a federal system, a presidentialist system, but our justice center is different from the United States. It's similar to the European system. The justices and the prosecutors are not elected. They were not elected. It's just a national or state exam that you enter into a career, a justice career or a public prosecutor career. Professor Cassuto is a candidate to be a justice in her town, sponsored town. It's a very democratic system. Maybe the most democratic system, justice system around the world. Because any power, all power must be delegated by the people. No power without people. We in Brazil, the same that in the European system, the justice and the prosecutors have power, but no one delegates this power. So Professor Habermas from Frankfurt says it is a deficit of legitimacy, a crisis of legitimacy. We have power, but we do not represent. We represent the people, but the people do not give us this power. It's a problem. We must to legitimate our action after became part of the government. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's the system. It works in all the countries of Europe. French, Italy, German. German is a little different. Portugal, Spain. The difference of Brazil, Professor Cassuto said, is that in Brazil, in the European system, the prosecutor and the justice are just one entity, just one branch of government, the judiciary branch, the judicial branch. In Brazil, they are separate. In the European countries, you enter into the magistrature and you become a prosecutor or become a justice. And you can change the function along your career, okay? In Brazil, you enter to become a justice and to become a prosecutor. Different exams. So, the prosecutor in Brazil is a new power because we can sue the government. We can prosecute the government, the major, the governor, and also the president of the republic. And the prosecutors in Brazil are independent. They don't have the legitimacy as the prosecutor here in the United States, but is so much independent. Okay? And this act brings some innovations. The first innovation that I show you and started the Constitution of 1988, subject the offenders, individuals or entities, the first time that we incorporate in our system the criminal liability for the corporate crimes, corporate crimes, okay? It is an innovation, but just in environmental corporate crimes. And white-collar crimes too. I don't know.
Why does someone choose judicial over prosecutorial path, or the other way around?
In Italy, in France, in Portugal.
Yeah.
Why?
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 Why? Yeah.
Why? Because in Italy or France, for example,
Yeah.
and you finish your course
Uh-huh.
and you take an exam to the justice school. It's like a postgraduate course, and you study to become a magistrate, or justice, or prosecutor, whatever you want. You score, you choose, something like this.
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's the justice system, the judicial branch, and you became one and another. Okay. And for example, do you remember when Italy became a very strong combat to the white-collar crimes in Italy?
Yeah.
And Di Pietro, the judge Di Pietro, the judge Falcone in Spanish, they are not justice, they are prosecutors. They are prosecutors. Okay? And it's the first distinction, and this act introducing the environmental, in the criminal legal system in Brazil, the corporate crimes. Okay, it's take a lot of repercussion in the system of Brazil, because professors are not. It's a new. People say, how can a corporate commit crimes? How it's possible? How to put in prison one enterprise? How to consider guilty or not guilty a moral person? It's crazy. It's not possible, because you have a lot of influence of the European system, European judicial system. So, but it's on the constitution. It's on the law. But professors do not agree. There are a lot of problems here there in Brazil. The second question. This act introduced the plea bargain in the Brazilian criminal system. The criminal system in Brazil never had heard in the plea bargain. It's an American system. You can deal, you can bargain inalienable rights. Inalienable rights. It's not possible, Professor said. How can you bargain your rights to your freedom? It's an absurd. But now, Brazil begin by influence of the United States system to bargain, but the offender are not considered guilty. Is near the plea nolo contendere. The crime, the offender do not say I'm guilty and I accept the penalty. they receive a penalty, but he is not considered guilty or conviction. It's not a conviction. It's almost an acquirement. It's very interesting. The American system, just 5% of the crimes go to trial. It's okay? In Brazil, 100% go to trial. So, it's impossible to trial a lot of crimes. The consequence of this, the lawsuit stay for a long time in the, you talk in the box of the justice. It's not, it's horrible for the offenders, it's horrible for the state, for the prosecutor, for the system. And Brazil begins to introduce in their system the plea bargain, the bargaining system. I think it's very good. Because no right is absolute. And basic rights could be, and professors in Brazil said that it's offend the due process, the procedural due process. But now, it's just for crimes, environmental crimes, just for environmental crimes, with penalties is minor than 2 years. A kind of misdemeanor. It's a new in the Brazilian environmental criminal system. This plea bargain we call transação penal, criminal deal, criminal. Is there a prerequisite to civil liability? You have first, the offender have to repair the damage, it is the first condition, repair the damage, and accept an alternative penalty, something like community service, fines, and my job as a prosecutor in Brazil became more easy. So I can, and do you know that environmental violators are rich people, rich corporations, are people that it's difficult to go to the jail. But now I can bargain with these offenders and take some response of the state with community service and fines and whatever we want. This law introduced to the probation system. The environmental system, legal system in Brazil was influenced by the United States system. We have a law called National Environmental Policy Act. The same name, NEPA. The same acronym, NEPA. 1981. The NEPA is 1972?
1970.
10 years after. We are a federation too. We have an IPA too. The name is IBEMA, not Obama. IBEMA. IBAMA. So, professors used to criticize this environmental criminal code. They say, they offended the procedure, the substantive due process. Because they bring a lot of vague laws. I will show you an example of environmental crime put in this law. The Article 54 said, is environmental crime cause pollution of any kind, or levels that result or may result in damage to the human health. Result or may result. It's not necessary. The damage. Just the risk of damage is a crime. You know, say, what is the prevention? The environment is difficult to repair. It's better to prevent this crime. Or which cause the death of animals or significant destruction of flora. People ask, professor asking, what is significant destruction? Who will tell us what it means? What is any kind or any levels of pollution? They say it is fake. It's violated the substantive due process. It is similar to the Nazi Code. The Nazi Code says, whoever commits a crime must be punished. The crime must be punishable by the law or deserve penalty in accordance with commonly accepted principles and the will of the German people. What is the will of the German people? If no criminal law is on point, the individuals shall be punished by the most analogous applicable law. It violates the principle of the legality that show nullum crimen nulla pena sine lege. No crime, no punishment without a previous penal law. Or it is in the Article 5 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and the Citizen from 1789. Let's say, there is no crime without a prior law that defines it, no penalty without prior legal provision. This principle for the criminal professor is the thermometer of the democracy. If you live in a democracy, the criminal law is not so powered. It's controlled, the power of the criminal prosecutors and justice by the due process of law. It's a mitigation because it's a very powerful action. Put in prison persons that the regime consider an enemy. The system must be, all the power must be controlled by other power. Must be mitigated. And Professor said, we are a lot of vague laws like relevant environmental interest obligation, value of landscape, excess of unarticulated rules. For example, a building in a area unfit for human occupation. Where is an area unfit for human occupation? It's so vague. Another authority must tell this is an area fit for occupation, this is an area unfit for occupation. We call in Brazil criminal law, criminal em blanco, norma penal em branco. Unarticulated rules. For example, the drugs. Brazil had a same problem in the United States, problems with addiction. Some drugs are permitted, others no. And President Bill Clinton, and the former President Bill Clinton and former President Fernando Henrique Cardoso defend that it's better liberate the drug consumption, because a lot of money was applying in the police, put in jail, and the trafficking increase all the time. It's a problem in Brazil. But the crime is smoke or use drugs, okay? Non permitted. But it's a caffeine. It's a drug. Caffeine is a drug. Someone else will say, this is permitted, but marijuana no. It's a rule open. In Brazil is the Federal Conselhos of Drugs. They say, this is a drug, this is permitted, alcohol is permitted, coffee is permitted, but another drug is not permitted. It's not allowed. It's the same in the environmental criminal law. The justice don't know what is the drug is permitted, allowed, or not allowed. You need another authority to send a list of the drugs that are allowed or not allowed. we'll go until
Until, what time we go till?
12 and
12:20, right?
12 and 20 minutes, okay. Another criticism that the criminal professors do on this law is that this act violated the minimum intervention principle and the insignificance principle. It's I will show you that among the criminals thinkers is there four basic facts. The law and order theory, or law and order doctrine, the penal abolitionist doctrine, the warrantist doctrine, and the new idealist doctrine. The law and order, like the series Law and Order, I watch a lot this series here and there in Brazil. The prosecutor McCoy. I love that. After lunch, I take my bed and turn on the TV every day to see Law and Order. And
It's a pretty good job, this prosecutor.
you will become a judge, you see. It's a good job. And Law and Order says the crime must be punished. Every crime must be punished. Here in New York, do you know the zero tolerance of Major Giuliani? Okay? New York was one of the most violent cities around the world. Today is one of the most safe after the zero tolerance public policy. He started in a sociologist theory of the broken windows. Just sociologists write that in a place when if a glass of your windows is broken, you do not fit it, the criminals will say, oh, no one live in this house because the windows is broken and no one fit it. Okay? And the violator will get over the wall and start to commit little crimes, and in a few couple of months, a peaceful neighbor became a violent place. So we must to attack every little crimes, and the Major Giuliani begin with people who get over the underground subway. Here is subway underground, and prosecutor investigate that people who get over the turnstile, and take what is your history? Oh, no problem, go away. But sometimes they put in jail big criminals, big traffickers of drugs, big stealers, kidnappers, and it is the deterrence function of the criminal law. Okay? It's the law and order. More crimes, more punishment, more people into jail, and it will be possible to incapacitation of criminals, specific deterrence, general deterrence, revenge and retribution, and theoretically rehabilitation. It's a theoretical. The function of the criminal system is not rehabilitation. Professor Michel Foucault in France says the function of the criminal system is stigmatize the violator. And show to the others that this kind of conduct is not at all. It's the deterrence function of the criminal law. Law and order think in this way. The law and order philosophy think in this way. More crime, more law, criminal law, more punishment, more deterrence, enforcement of the criminal law, etc., etc. On the other side, is there the thinkers like Angela Davis, professor of sociology in the Columbia University. Do you know? Caitlin, do you know who is Angela Davis?
No.
Angela Davis. She was a political prisoner here in the United States. And John Lennon composed the song Angela. Do you know? Put in the Google, Angela, John Lennon. Angela, they put you in prison. You got it? Angela, they shut down your man. Angela, you are one of the millions of political prisoners in the world. It's for Angela Davis. She was married with a Black Panthers member who was convicted to kill a justice. Today, she is professor of sociology in the Columbia University. And she said, in the United States, the slavery put the black people into without freedom for a long time. And now, the black people is in the jail too. So the slavery exists in this country because the black people don't have freedom yet, said Angela Davis. In Argentina, a judge of the Supreme Court called Zaffaroni is an abolitionist too. And a lot of others professors around the world says that the criminal law just serve to put the public enemies on the jails. And they say it's possible to avoid the crime, go to the cause of the crime, not putting the criminals on the jail, in the jail. And the cause of the crime, says the abolitionists, is the social inequality. Brazil, as the United States, are a country with a big social inequality. A lot of people with so much rich, a lot of people poor. And this causes the criminal mind. And put into jail do not solve the problem, says the criminal abolitionist theory. Another group called warrantists. Professor from German, Frankfurt School, and faculty, university created after the Second World War by Jew professors, Eugen Habermas, Adorno, Herbert Marcuse, Benjamin, Hassamer, says that to avoid that the Nazi criminal system rebirth, we need a new theory that put the criminal law system, that mitigates the criminal law system, that assure to the people a lot of warranties. Warranties like the due process, the procedural due process, the substantive due process. And became the criminal law short. Crime in a democratic society, says the Frankfurt School, must be just the violation of the basic rights. Well, what are the basic rights, Leonardo, please?
I'm sorry.
What do you mean on basic rights?
Individual rights, basic rights.
Individual rights, basic rights, for example?
The right of a balanced environment, for instance, maybe.
Hillary, do you agree?
I would say a basic right would be basic freedoms, basic liberties.
Liberties. Okay. Michelle?
I guess in the context of being prosecuted, it would be like even due process or something like that when you go to trial.
Jonathan? Freedom?
I mean, it's a very encompassing term. It's basically the right to.
It's unalienable rights. It's the same. Basic rights, unalienable rights.
Inalienable.
Inalienable rights. Freedom, Hillary, it's one. Someone else? Connor? Life. And freedom, life, property. Yeah. So the warrantist says that the criminal legal system must punish just the violation of these basic rights: freedom, life, property. freedom or liberty. The environmental problems, no. It's just the civil liability, the civil law, the civil and the administrative rules could protect us, they protect the environment. They have feared that the Nazi system became, and a state became strong, they persecuted a lot of people, but you building in an unfitting area, it's a crime, put into jail. It's the beginning. One day the prosecutor will take for you, you say to you, do you smile for my wife? It's a crime. I will put you into jail. The Nazi system began in this way. People say, oh, Hitler is a crazy man. No. It's a crazy minority of people. In the end, the Second World War, billions of people died. And so on, so on. Okay? So the warrantists, Jew professors, created the warrantist theory. The criminal legal system must be mitigated, must be controlled. And in the end, the last one, it's the current that I am a disciple, a fan, I agree. It is called the New Idealist Theory. The New Idealist Theory do not want to abolish the criminal law system. So I will become an employer. And I don't believe that it's possible to walk on the street with stealers and killers and kidnappers and other criminals. We agree with the warrantists that the criminal system must be mitigated, must be controlled. But we agree that in the modern society, that Professor Ulrich Beck named society at risk, new technologies, genetic information, websites, computer, iPhone, iPod, put our life at risk. One serial killer can shot a lot of people, but a polluter put millions of life at risk. A nuclear accident, like in Chernobyl, or here in the United States, 3 Mile Island,
3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island can kill a lot of people. Most will put this kind of act out of the criminal system. I do not believe. Must be 15 years ago, but now, in our society, people enter in your society and says, Professor Heron is done, it's possible. The rakers and a lot of criminal, web criminal. And we believe that the white collar crimes must be punished too. In Brazil, now, the Supreme Court the prosecutors in Brazil are suing a lot of politicians for corruption. 40 people. Because it's a problem. When a people like that put the public money in her pocket, a lot of students stay out of the school. A lot of people die because they don't have a health system to save their lives. So, I do not believe that we put this kind of action out of the criminal law system. The environmental criminal crimes and the white-collar crimes in our society at risk must be considered crimes. This is our position. So, people may say, but how to put rich people a polluter? The polluter used to be rich people, entrepreneurs and people who have money and have good lawyers. And people who is important for the country, for the nation. They create new jobs. A lot of people depends of this. If you put this person into prison, a lot of other people will be unemployed. It's a problem. Well, it's not easy, but you are saying, put the poor people into jail, but rich people, no. It's not easy to solve that kind of problem. It's not easy to solve. Some professors are putting into debating the creation of two-speed criminal law. For these thinkers, some kind of crimes must be punished by jail, but other kinds of crimes must be punished with alternative penalties. So, the first speed criminal law was crimes, must punish crimes against the basic rights, property, life, liberty, with due process of law, a lot of warranties, mitigation, but penalties, severe penalties, huge penalties, prison. It is the first speed criminal law. And for crimes as white collar crimes, environmental crimes, website crimes, you can remove all these warranties and create new penalties. Maybe it's better to convict a rich people or a polluter or a corporate to give money for poor people. Maybe it would be better than put they into jail. First, I am a public prosecutor in Brazil for 15 years old. 1991, 15, almost 15. I never saw a polluter be convicted by a justice and put into jail. Maybe here and even here in the United States, cases as the People versus Film Recovery System, it's here. It's not common. Do you remember this case? Illinois, 1985. Do you remember, Curry? Do you remember, Mark? It was this is the owner of the enterprise, and they take the films of the pictures to take the cyanide and recycle this kind and employ immigrants, Spanish, Mexicans, and Poland's, and a Polish called named Steve Golub died with intoxication by cyanide. And the corporate and the natural person, the owner, was convicted and put into jail for a murder and environmental crimes. It's not common here in the United States, either in Brazil. So, it's better for us, after this criminal act, Environmental Criminal Act from 1998, my job became more easy. I could not put into jail the corporates, because it's impossible, and the owners, but now I can bargain with them. And I got money and give this money for public schools, for charity entities, and I feel good for this. Before this law, I was a frustrated persecutor. When you persecute poor people, you are a persecutor law. I put 100 persons into jail. Let me take a whiskey. But the environmental prosecutor, how many people do you put into jail, sir? I don't remember, no one. A frustrated prosecutor. But now, I don't put anyone into jail, but a lot of them respect me and be afraid. I told Professor Cassuto I play tennis like Professor Cassuto, and when Professor Cassuto are in Brazil or when I'm here, we go to play tennis. I hear in the base or in Brazil I'm a member of a club. And one day I will play double, and my opponent was a former president of the club, and they refused to play with me. No, this prosecutor tried to put me into jail.
He sued his own tennis club.
I became because it's not easy to be a prosecutor against rich people. It's easy to be a prosecutor against poor people. Okay? The other thing is this so difficult to prove. The environmental violations. It's very difficult to prove because there are a lot of terms that we prosecutors and justice do not know. Nothing. Some words that chemists or biologists or physicists know. But it depends of other scientists to do if this area have a value of landscape, it's unfit to build, or what kind of pollution. Noise is pollution, but what level of noise? I'm speaking here. It's a pollution or not, right? It's not easy to prove. It's difficult to prove. And the environmental violators or polluters have good lawyers like you that study in big universities and know how the laws works or not works or not works. It's another problem. It's difficult to get witness. In Brazil, the most important polluter is the state, the government. Is the greatest polluter in Brazil, is the government, the Brazilian government. how to put the governor or the political that indicated the chief of the EPA. I need the Brazilian EPA, the IBAMA, give me a document to say, oh, this level is polluter, it's pollution. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. So, the positive things with the introduction of the plea bargain, plea nolo contender, the bargain system in the environmental criminal system in Brazil, is that now the polluters are worried for the prosecutions. The civil penalties they put into price of the product. Ah, civil penalties, okay, I pay. But the water costs $2, now is $2.20. No problem. But when a prosecutor say, I will put you to jail, everybody, no one likes to be prosecuted. No one likes to leave the possibility to be put into jail. It is the club in the closet function. A kind of deterrence. And now, in Brazil, we, the public prosecutors, can obtain some winners in our jobs, in the protection of the environment. The press, the media, have been cover our jobs, and it's not good for the polluters too. Okay, guys, I'm open to questions, and thank you so much.
In terms of the police starting, you said in 1998, since then, have you seen a huge shift in environmental responsibility on parts of the big companies?
Yeah, it's not, the law is very young, 98, the enforcement is so young. I have colleagues and other prosecutors that they do not prosecute for crime, prefer to civil liability. But it's, and Lisa, I can talk to myself. For example, in Salvador, the city where I live in, is as New Orleans. As New Orleans, a lot of musicians, a lot of music. People go to like carnival, like to songs, and the noise, how we say poluição sonora, noise polluters.
Noise pollution.
Noise polluter is very common. In the big clubs, this kind to play tennis, you refuse to play tennis with me, or the president of a big club. And when I was young, I go to rock concert there in an open area. But I became prosecutor, and I prosecuted the club that I used to to go. Because in a hospital, it's near a hospital. And I prosecuted a lot of these clubs, and they finished to take rock concerts. Because the risk of punishment of criminal, the sword of the criminal, the sword of the criminal sword is very dangerous. And I can list a lot of victory that the club in the closed function that I can take just for persecuting this kind of people, this politician. A lot of, I can, and I do not put anyone into prison, but they stop the pollution.
Do you think that some prosecutors in Brazil are influenced by corruption not to prosecute against environmental crimes?
And Christopher, Brazil, is there a lot of corruption? The political system is very difficult because the candidates need money
Does it sound familiar?
to finance the Kassura, the candidate. And is there a lot of corruption into the political system? But the prosecutors and the justice in Brazil have a lot of warranties. For example, I will be prosecutor for all my life. I will be retired and begin to be a prosecutor. I have the warranties. No one, neither president, governor, no one can say, I will put you in another place. I will be environmental prosecutor until the end of my life. My salary, it's okay, salary? Never can be diminished. And it's a good salary in Brazil. Bigger than a prosecutor here in the United States. We don't have no reason to corruption. So, but is there corruption in the judicial system? But in I think that public prosecutors, I learned to be a prosecutor reading this book. Scott Rowe, Presumed Innocent. Have you had read? Do you know the film with, what is the name of this? Harrison Ford, Presumed Innocent. And the book the name is the same name. Scott Rowe, Presumed. He is a prosecutor, accused to murder the Caroline Polemus, and very beautiful prosecutor assistant. So, it's the only possibility that I became a former prosecutor if I commit a crime. and corruption is a crime. So, and in Brazil, prosecutors, and Professor Cassuto is a witness of this, have a very strong credibility and into society. And the politicians that are voted in Brazil, no credibility, no legitimacy. Everybody say, the police, no.
That's why I asked, because I know there's a history and a problem with corruption in Brazil. Politically, I didn't know if that transcended to the judiciary.
Transcended to?
Moved over to the judiciary. I didn't know if it was as equal. So if the political system in Brazil, you said, is corrupt, some parts.
Okay.
But I didn't know if it was the same with the judicial system.
Yeah, and remember that we do not belong to the judicial system. To the judicial systems, yes, but not to the
It's different, yeah.
It's different. It's a different institution. And now in Brazil we have two councils that control the justice and control the prosecutors. And people and politicals and a lot of people and make the control into the prosecutors and justice in Brazil. More democratic in Brazil. Okay?
I was just
What's your
wondering.
name, please?
Oh, Louis.
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 Nice to meet you.
I was just wondering if you could tell us how the prosecutor's office is handling the Chevron oil spill business and how they're going after them. If you think that anybody will be criminally convicted of anything from that Chevron oil spill?
Chevron oil spill last year in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. Maybe administrative fines.
That's it.
Yeah, but the federal prosecutors prosecuted them. But the trial, criminal trial in Brazil, and is has a long time, 20 years, 10 years.
They don't have a speedy
Yeah.
trial thing going on down there.
It's not like here, you have 1 month to trial. And complex case like that, the justices say, oh, very good. Put into the box. They do not understand nothing. A lot of pages, 1,000 pages, 1,000 documents, and 10 years, 15 years. Is maybe in 15 years I can respond.
Well, we'll have to have you back then. We'll have to stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.